I'm fed up of trying to make sure that these videos make sense, so I'm just going to express myself raw and exactly the way that I can currently understand something. Because I think about these topics all day long, and well, the reason that I think about them all day long is because just like everyone else on this planet Earth, I suffer. I have anxieties, I've gone through depressive states, I doubt myself, I want to feel joy, I want to feel love, I want to experience the highs of life, making money, whatever. And just like you, I live in a world where there's like trap doors at every corner. There's lies being told everywhere. And I'm going to give some examples right now that I was thinking about. Because when it comes to the human mind, when it comes to our emotional experience of life, there's so little... I'm going to have to explain this properly, but there's so little rebellion and so much conformity that is sickening. And I'm going to give you an example. If it comes to making money, we're all well aware that there's millionaires and billionaires and there's trillions of dollars and money flying around this planet Earth. And we're also able to go and talk to people that don't have the mentality to go after obtaining a lot of material wealth in this world. And when you hang out with these people, call them brokies or the poor mentality or whatever, people that genuinely don't think that they can get money, who have a certain type of mindset that keeps them where they're at. And if you talk to these people about becoming successful, they can say things to you like, oh man, getting rich, like they've got so many things they can say. You have to fuck people over if you want to get rich, or getting rich is like not for everyone. It's really hard to do. You know, my friend wanted to do it. He tried all his life and he never got there. So it just can't be done, whatever. But the evidence is there. There's loads of people with money. So anyone with a bit of grit and a bit of rebellion would be like, fuck that. I'm going to go and get it. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. And we have examples of this everywhere. The 4-minute mile. No one could do it. Apparently it was impossible. Then one person did it, and then suddenly loads of people can do it. There are people in sports and business everywhere that just defy the common status quo and actually just go after it. But the moment that it comes to things like the human mind and our emotions, most of us conform to the status quo. For example, if I said that I never want to feel anxiety ever again, I want to be completely free from it, someone might say like, oh bro, you know, having a bit of anxiety and being sad, that's just part of being human. And the most common response is, yeah, I know, you're probably right, like I'm getting ahead of myself or whatever. When actually, you should say, fuck that individual, fuck what they think, I'm going to go and get it. I'm going to figure this out. So I'm thinking about these things because I personally suffered too much to be able to ignore it. And in a way, it was such a blessing because I tried therapies, plant medicines, spiritual ideas and practices. I tried all the material things, had a worldly life, tried the other worldly things. And to this day, none of it truly worked. And I have a very personal relationship with the relationship between suffering and attempting to cure suffering. And what I've noticed is a lot of stuff that basically does or does not work. And I'm just going to branch off now to a slightly different topic, but sort of is a segue, like it kind of relates. And we spend so much time, like that conforming that I was saying about, we spend so much time repeating and acting as if we know what spiritual experts, psychologists, even a business person that's made millions will give his opinion on his mentality and how he became successful. So we hear all of this advice around us that corresponds to us healing ourselves emotionally and mentally, and we just repeat it outwards. If I was to go around and ask 100 people, like, how do you be happy? I'm sure every single human being on this planet has a fucking answer for it. And it's always like, well, you need to treat your family well, or you treat others how you want to be treated, or write a list of all the things you're grateful for, go to church, do this spiritual practice, from the most basic level answer to a more apparent expert answer. Everybody thinks they have an idea of how to do this stuff. But my experience is they don't actually. They're just repeating bullshit, and they're talking without having any lived experience with the matter. And in the same way that you wouldn't listen to someone that's making less money than you, how to make more than you, why are you listening to people, and me as well, we all do it, why are we listening to people that have not dedicated their fucking lives to obtaining freedom within? Why are we even listening to them? But we do it. And then there's obviously the side which is like, well, this person has actually achieved it. This person became enlightened. They're up on stage. They've wrote books. Millions of people listen to them. So I can listen to that person, surely. And this is where we start to divulge falsehood from truth and actually start to understand what the fuck's going on. Because it seems like you could copy someone, right? Whether they've achieved something spiritually or materialistically or in sports or anything. You would think this guy is the best in the world right now at what he does, or she. So surely I can learn off them and I could become that person as well. I don't think that anyone that actually wants to become the greatest in the world truly, completely listens to others. I think they know deep down, I've got to do this my way. But for a lot of us that would just be like, I'd like to just get a bit of advice here, we go and listen to these people that we think are the best and we think it's going to do something for us. And it does sometimes, kind of. But you know what my experience is? My experience is that it's very short-lived. It's like watching a motivational video. You feel good for 20 minutes, if that. While you're watching it, you feel psyched up. And then you're back to your normal default state within an hour. And maybe within a couple of days. So normally you have to watch something again the next day and get an accountability partner and put a vision board up on your wall so you can try and stay motivated. And it's just this constant chasing of feeling motivated. Just constantly requiring things on the external. But for someone like me, I don't want to need those things every day to feel better. I want to wake up, feel free, go to bed feeling free, and that's that. So when considering this, I look back at my life and I know that when I've changed emotionally, it happened in that instant. It happened straight away. There was a hypnotherapy session. There was a bit of advice that I got. There might be something that I realized. Things happened throughout my life that instantly I felt an emotional shift, and almost whether it was a fiery feeling over my body, wow, something's just shifted in my fucking nervous system, in my being, whatever it is. And those have been the times when I've changed. But most of the time, if I pick up a book, or if I do meditation, or if I take advice from someone that's apparently an expert, whatever, I don't mean to disregard them like they don't know what they're talking about, but it's just we put so much emphasis on these experts while simultaneously a lot of them, it's not getting us anywhere. So besides the point, most of the information that I've taken in has done nothing for me. It hasn't done anything for me, and it hasn't done anything for you either. But we don't admit this because we think that maybe we didn't understand it properly. Maybe I need to try again. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong direction. Maybe there's another teacher out there that can give me advice. We never stop to think that actually maybe I need to figure this all out on my own. Like, if you wanted to beat Michael Jordan at basketball, you can't learn from him. And even if you didn't want to just beat him, you wanted to be as good as him or a little bit less than him, you can learn some tips and tricks here and there. But that motherfucker went on his own path to obtain the level of expertise that he has. He didn't, I'm assuming, I don't know his story, he would have learned a bit from people, but my point is, if you want something like this in life, whether it be the mind or material, you have to go and get it yourself. So my purpose of recording this video is just to express some of the illusions, some of the pitfalls, some of the trapdoors that we all fall for all the time, and to bring a bit of truth into this whole thing. Because I hang out with people, and it's very difficult to not notice this stuff once it's been noticed. That a lot of us are just regurgitating information. We don't really know what the fuck we've just learned. We haven't really dedicated ourselves to the path. We're just copycats in many ways. And I've lived like this my whole life. I'm not, by no means have I figured this out completely or become perfect, but for sure, I've witnessed this, what we're talking about, a lot. And so I'll finish off with like this point. Your life, your 24 hours, is so full of wisdom, but we constantly ignore that. We think that the wisdom is out there, that someone needs to teach us it, whatever. No one's ever told us that the material we're made of, and even if they told us this, we still almost wouldn't believe it, like, properly. Like, I'm going to tell you now, but is this really going to change your life? Probably not. But at least we should talk about something as close to the truth as possible. You know, you not understanding it, even though I've said it, doesn't devalue what's being said. It just brings attention to the fact of how human beings really work. We can talk about these things all day, but we're so lost in conditioning that doesn't lead us anywhere. Even when the truth is told, it still doesn't do anything for us because we don't even know the truth once we've heard it. But anyways, another thing is, this is my truth. This is how I figured this out by myself. And it's just something that uniquely fits my life experience, that when I say it to myself, it makes perfect sense. But to you, it might not make sense, which is absolutely fine. So in that sense, it brings attention to the fact that you also need to go and just figure stuff out by yourself and have confidence in the fact that when you find something, even if no one else is saying it, that's your truth. That's you and your own unique wisdom, which is bringing me to this exact point. You have 24 hours in a day, and the material and the elements that you're made out of, and the forces at which control your emotions, your motivations, and your life is the same materials and elements and forces that exist on this planet and inside this whole universe. You, my friend, are not separate from the universe. Okay? And the reason that that's important is because, like Jesus said, which is me now literally regurgitating information, so we can use this as an example, is the kingdom is within. And obviously he's absolutely right when he says that. Just as a quick example, I didn't hold on to that quote from Jesus Christ and try to understand it. I first came to this understanding that I'm explaining to you and realized, oh, Jesus Christ is saying the same thing. And don't think yourself arrogant for coming up with the same level of wisdom that Jesus Christ did or the Buddha did or whatever. Because all of these human beings had the same amount of resources as you do to figuring out the truth. We all live on planet Earth. We're all made up of the same shit. We're all experiencing somewhat of a similar experience internally. So if you sit down by yourself for weeks, months, and years on end and investigate life through your own lens, you can absolutely come to understandings which are that of a very high level that most of the spiritual gurus are talking about. But the important factor is that you came to it by yourself. So it's a true, lived, embodied experience that actually does something for you. Learning it from another human, like Jesus or like the Buddha or whoever, and assuming you've understood it is you're missing the point. You've understood it somewhat intellectually, but it hasn't become something that's changed you, which we talked about already. And there's evidence of that everywhere. And you can analyze your own life. You'll find that to be true. Yeah, and I just say this because the potential and the uniqueness of every human being is absolutely profound and beautiful and amazing. And instead of us all discovering that beauty and that fantasticness and that uniqueness and that creativity we all have, we just become copycats. We just start regurgitating information that we read and heard about, and we think that that's doing something, and it's not doing anything. And it's so funny once you see this, because you realize like how much shit everyone's talking all the time, and that it's really not getting anywhere. And I'll finish now with this last thing. If a music artist, like a rapper, was copying the words of another rapper, you would think that that rapper is a fraud. You said you just copied fucking Drake's lyrics. That doesn't show how creative you've been. But when it comes to all of this stuff in the spiritual industry or in self-development, self-help, or even in business, you're copying what other people are saying. And you think that you're fucking unique or valuable in what you're saying. You're not. You're a copycat, and you haven't understood it. And you're not expressing any uniqueness, which means that you haven't even understood the wisdom that you're talking about. You're just regurgitating it. So, yeah, evidence of wisdom that has been obtained on a personal level is unique language, is someone that expresses something in their own complete unique way. The same as a music artist, the same as a good architect that builds a new building that no one's ever seen before. You know that that motherfucker has tapped into something unique and brand new. And it's the same shit when you come to understanding your emotions, your thought patterns, your mind, your experience of life itself. So do not underestimate your own life. Look inwards, look at yourself, analyze your life. Like, take a personal approach at this whole thing and stop just copycatting everyone. Yeah, and if this video does nothing for you, absolutely fine. That's so common. Most of the videos we watch online, they don't really do anything. The only advice I can give is just let this settle, and if it moves you in the direction of wanting to investigate these things, then it does, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And both is okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. There's no need to feel guilty. There's no need to try and grasp what I'm saying. This either moves you or it doesn't, you know? So, yeah, I said I was going to finish this video a few times. I'm still recording. But this is somewhat of a new style of video for me, because I'm not trying to make this